Hello everyone, Dr. Charles Sefcik here with the Life Enhancement Clinic, and today's presentation is entitled, What's Stealing Your Health? And the main objectives of today's recording is to identify your three main health robbers. We want to address with you the 7 major symptoms of stress. I'd like to talk to you about the 7 major symptoms of toxic burden, how you can use the Get Rid formula to regain your health. We also want to introduce you to the concept of the 13 factors of dis-ease. Now, thief number 1, and what is stealing your health and robbing your vitality, is stress. And stress is everywhere. It affects everyone. And there are some main categories of stressors that we talk about, and they can be physical, chemical, or mental emotional stressors. Now, physical stress can be trauma, infection, accidents, or injuries, and oftentimes we think of injuries to the musculoskeletal system as involving a motor vehicle accident, as you see in this picture here. However, you can have trauma to your spine and your muscles with sustained daily demands that you place on your body every day, working with poor posture, sitting at your computer. All the daily stresses you place on your body are just as traumatic to your musculoskeletal system as an accident, and that leads to physical stress. Chemical stress can be inflammation, hormonal imbalances, food sensitivities. Truly, one man's meat is another man's poison. So while your neighbor might be able to tolerate dairy just fine, when you eat dairy, it might be a chemical stress in promoting inflammation and leaky gut and placing an impact on you, robbing you of your health. Mental emotional stress can be not getting enough sleep because you can't get your mind to shut off with all the events of the day's activities and all the stress of the day's activities, or wondering how your bills are going to get paid and you're going to make ends meet. Also, how do you perceive yourself? How you see yourself and what you think about yourself is very important in balancing and making sure you have not an unhealthy level of mental or emotional stress. And people will struggle with these ants that steal health from you, and these are these automatic negative thoughts that people have where they always criticize themselves and talk bad about themselves, and that's all that self-talk that leads to mental emotional stress. And we are creating our future, and if you look at this image here, this identifies the physical, mental, chemical stress that we're placed with. You have this individual with such a poor posture, living a sedentary lifestyle, the mental stress of too many video games or not enough mental activity or mental exercises, and the chemical stress associated with the standard American diet. You can see his can of energy drink here because he's not sleeping well, his Mountain Dew and Doritos, and all of these things lead to stressors on the body and on your health, and they rob you of your health. Now, thief number 2 is toxins, and your overall toxic load has been determined to influence your health. And the higher your toxic load or burden or exposure to toxins, the greater your risk of disease is and dysfunction is. And you can reduce your toxic burden and you can eliminate the illnesses that you're facing. So what are these environmental toxins? It's the foods that we eat that are being sprayed. It's the air that we breathe that is being polluted. It's the water that we drink. Even this little baby here in this image with the exhaust fumes from the car. Toxins are in the air, the water, our food supply. They're in our home. They're in our garden. They're in our bathroom, in our kitchen. And that leads to an increased toxic burden and robs you of your health. This is a great website that I would encourage you to visit. It's www.everydayexposures.com. And you can go through and actually click on a different room of the house, and you can see what are the most common sources of toxins, whether it be the formaldehyde in carpets or maybe the skincare cream that you're using, that are actually stealing your health by making you more toxic. And when you consider what you put on your skin, it would be a very good idea to visit the www.ewg.org/skin deep, and they'll actually tell you what kind of toxins are in the cosmetic things that you're putting on your skin. Things that you put on your skin and the shampoos that you use and the soaps that you use do matter and are absorbed through you into your skin, into your body, and create havoc and can steal health from you. And so these are 3 good websites that you can visit to consider the environmental toxins that are around you and that you're being exposed to. Now, you can also have toxins in your body that are produced by your own gut. And if you can see this overlay of this gut bacteria produced in this obese individual, these bacteria can produce a lot of enzymes, like for example lipopolysaccharides and different things like that, that will cause increased inflammation in the gut, and they'll cause increased bacterial translocation, and they'll actually start to kick out all of these metabolic waste products of these bad bacteria, making you poisoned and making you sick and robbing health from you. And so you want to have a good balance of good bacteria versus bad bacteria. And when you lose that balance, you begin to become toxic from your own gut. And look at the standard American diet. This is what people are eating, and this is not food, and this is not healthy for your body, and it makes the endotoxin picture even worse for you. Now, thief number 3 is malnutrition. And we're not talking about the stereotypical image of a starving child in Africa when we think about malnutrition. But malnutrition is defined as inadequate lean muscle mass, increased body fat mass, vitamin, mineral, trace mineral deficiencies, fatty acid deficiencies, sarcopenic obesity, or being overfed but undernourished. So sarcopenic obesity is kind of described pretty well in this diagram here. You see this lady here. She looks like she's heavy and she wants to lose a few pounds. And we have to understand that there's a healthy way and an unhealthy way to lose weight. Let's talk about the unhealthy way first. So she steps on the scale at her weight loss meeting, and you find that her body weight went down, and she's thinking, wow, I look better and my pants fit better and my scale weight went down, so I must be healthier. But if you look thinner and you've lost weight because you've actually put on more body fat, but you've reduced your muscle mass, that's sarcopenic obesity, and that's an unhealthy body composition that increases the risk of developing high blood pressure, high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, insulin insensitivity, type 2 diabetes, hormone imbalances, and more. However, if you use a body composition testing where you actually not only include what's on the scale but also measure your lean muscle and your total body fat, you can ensure that you are losing weight in a healthy way, which would mean losing body fat and gaining lean muscle. But if you look at this picture here and you look at this picture here, it's the same person, it's the same image, and the only way to know if you have sarcopenic obesity is to measure for it with a bioelectrical impedance analysis. Micronutrient deficiencies are very, very common. Our foods are grown in nutrient-depleted soils. People are taking acid-blocking medications which block the absorption of minerals and trace minerals. People are taking a myriad of drugs which have known nutrient depletion side effects. So zinc deficiency, selenium deficiency, iodine deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, magnesium, vitamin C, molybdenum, iron, all of these are so common, and these are things that we see in a quote-unquote healthy population in our office every single day, and you don't identify these unless you look for them and also know the side effects of the medications you're taking, the over-the-counter pain relievers that you're taking, the statin drug that you're taking. All of that has an impact, and malnutrition is a thief and a robber of your health. Now, when we look at fatty acid deficiency, this is so common, and when you look at what these essential fatty acids are, you have omega-6 fatty acids and omega-3 fatty acids. Now, these are essential fatty acids. By that we mean your body is not able to make them on its own, and they must be obtained in the diet. Now, omega-6s do need to be present in your body, but the ratio, how many omega-6 fatty acids you have compared to how many omega-3 fatty acids you have, should be a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 ratio. Unfortunately, we have a lot of corn and vegetable oils, a lot of carbohydrates and French fries and cookies and hamburgers that lead to these omega-6 increases, and this leads to a buildup of arachidonic acid, as well as red meats and farm fish supplying a high source of arachidonic acid, and these all go down to create pro-inflammatory cytokines, chemical messengers that when they speak to your body speak a message of pain and inflammation. And our diet is very, very deficient in things like fish and grass-fed beef and wild game and omega-3 rich eggs that are cage that are fed on a wild type diet. And what happens is when you start to build up the omega 6s and you start to reduce the omega 3s, that places you at a risk of chronic disease. It places you at a risk of developing diabetes, which is diabetes and prediabetes and metabolic syndrome and obesity. And it places you at a risk of advanced neurodegeneration where your brain literally ages too quickly. And so when you look at the essential fatty acids, the omega-3 essential fatty acids, DHA, that's what your brain is made of. That is what your nerves are made of. And if you're not getting this in your diet and you're not supplementing with omega-3 fatty acids, you're placing yourself at a strong pro-inflammatory risk and a very low anti-inflammatory benefit, and that's going to be a big problem for you and a robber of your health. And when you look at all these pro-inflammatories, we try to take these pain relievers, and we try to take these COX-2 inhibitors, and we try to take all of these medications with these horrible side effects to try to relieve our pain, when in reality we could reduce our omega-6 intake, increase our omega-3 intake, and we can have this very, very strong anti-inflammatory benefits. And when you look again at the arachidonic acid cascade, you're going to see that you are going to have some serious issues. You're going to have platelets that begin to aggregate and increase your risk of stroke and heart disease. You're going to increase your acceleration of joint destruction and atherosclerosis or plaquing in your arteries and inflammation. And actually, if you increase this 5-HETE, you can interfere with your body's ability to kill cancer cells, or when a cell begins to grow wrong, your body has these innate mechanisms that will cause that cell to actually die. And it's called apoptosis. And if that doesn't occur, then you can have a mutagenic cell. You can have overgrowth of this cell, and we call that cancer. And there are things that you can do to block all of these cytokines, and these are things that are very natural and very safe. So for example, you can take a Celebrex COX-2 inhibitor, but we know that Celebrex and Vioxx and Baxter, the two that were taken off the market, we know that these actually cause GI damage and heart damage. But you can use curcumin. You can use resveratrol and green tea and also block prostaglandins. You can use curcumin here again and something called 5-loxin, which is very safe, natural, and effective to lower the levels of leukotriene B4 and 5-HETE. And so the desired ratio of your omega-6 to omega-3 intake should be 1-to-1. And if you're not at that level, you're going to suffer with pain and inflammation and rob your health, but you can change that. And you can change that by consuming more range-fed eggs, consuming more grass-fed beef. And when you look at just the range-fed egg of an omega-6 to 3 ratio of 1.5-to-1, a supermarket egg, a conventional egg that you just buy at the store, is 20-to-1. And when you eat inflammation, you become inflamed. And the grass-fed beef, usually 3-to-1, and can be as little as 1-to-1 ratio. Industrial beef is 21-to-1. So again, when you give your body inflammatory signals, you're going to have pain, inflammation, and theft of your health. So we live in a society that is overfed and undernourished. Just look at these images that I just pulled off Google Images. This is the society that we live in. This is what we're facing. This is the problem that we're up against, an overfed, undernourished society where no one wants to be like this, and our food is engineered to be addictive. It's hard to get real food, but we are living in a situation where people are consuming way too many calories, but they're literally starving to death. And we're fighting obesity with the wrong tools, and we're using dangerous fad diets, and people are doing gastric bypass that leads to subsequent nutrient deficiencies, and people are taking statin drugs for the cholesterol issue and not getting to the root cause of their problem. They're taking diabetes medications. We have this fear of fat, so we're avoiding all the good fats for us, and we're taking in these high carbohydrate, high sugar, fat-free alternatives because of this fat phobia that we've been told to have. And we have a contaminated food supply. Listen, when you eat animals that are fattened up with hormones to be taken to the slaughter, when you eat animals that have been altered to be fat, you're going to eat those and you'll become fat as well. So what's really wrong with you? Let's take the picture and the scenario of this young lady here. She goes to her doctor and she says, "Doctor, I have no energy. I'm feeling sad, helpless, and hopeless. I can't sleep at night. I wake up multiple times during the night. I wake up not feeling refreshed. I have no interest in eating. I have no interest in sex." And so the doctor begins to look into his diagnostic toolkit and looks at the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the gold standard of diagnosing these symptoms, and finds that, well, you have a code called 296.2, depressive disorder, therefore you need an antidepressant. But it's just a label, and it doesn't tell you anything about what really caused those symptoms. So let's take this picture. Let's say that your depression is caused by a physical, mental, or emotional trauma that you underwent and it altered your chemistry. Or let's say that you are gluten sensitive, and every time you eat gluten, it's a poison to you and forms glutamorphins, which alter the opioid receptors rather in your brain. Or let's say you're gluten sensitive and you eat gluten continually, and it leads to an autoimmune thyroid disease, and your thyroid begins to shut down and affects your mood and behavior. Or perhaps you are taking acid blocking medications because of a poor diet, and you block the absorption of vitamin B12 and you become B12 deficient, and that leads to your depression. Or perhaps you live in a state like we do in North Dakota where you don't get adequate sunlight exposure, and so you become vitamin D deficient, which leads to your depression. Or perhaps you have a leaky, inflamed gut, which causes micronutrient deficiencies, which lead to brain imbalances, which lead to depression. Or perhaps you love sushi and you're exposed to a lot of mercury, and the mercury poisons your brain and makes you depressed. Or perhaps you don't get enough good omega-3 fatty acids, as we discussed earlier, and so now you have an imbalance in your 6:3 ratio, and you're low in the brain fatty acid DHA, and now you're depressed. Or maybe you consume a diet high in this white powder addictive substance that we call sugar. That all can lead to depression. So it's important to understand that not just a label, but identifying why are you manifesting with these symptoms? Why do you feel like you do? What's robbing you of your health? And this really segues into understanding there are 13 factors of dis-ease that we've identified. There's stress, toxins, blood sugar dysregulation, oxidative stress, hormone and neurotransmitter imbalances, structural dysfunctions, subluxations in your spine, food reactions, inflammation, immune infection imbalances, heavy metal toxicity, digestion problems, methylation faults, mitochondrial faults. Any one or combination of these factors can lead to a state of dis-ease, taking you further away from health and more down the progression of a disease state. Now, our approach to wellness is fairly simple. We want to restore your health by cleansing, nourishing, and balancing your body. Our mission is to restore hope and health in individuals not enjoying wellness by guiding them through cleansing, nourishing, and balancing their bodies. And if you can make the sides of this triangle equal and strong, you can restore your health. It's pretty simple when we look at a plant. You can look at this plant, and you don't have to be a green thumb to identify that something's wrong with this plant. And Dr. Sidney Baker came up with a get rid principle. And you can look at this and say, well, maybe this plant is not getting something that it should be getting. Maybe it's not getting enough vitamin D, okay, or enough sunlight rather, to make photosynthesis and make energy. And that would be like us not getting enough sunlight, not making enough vitamin D. Or maybe it's not getting enough water to stay hydrated. Or maybe it's being polluted in the soil, and the soil needs to be changed. Or maybe the environment and the air that it's in, the temperature that it's being stored in, needs to be changed. So what does this plant need to get more of to be healthy? Or what does this plant need to get rid of to be healthy? And that's how we look at you. What are you being exposed to that you need to remove out of your life? What are you not getting in your life that's causing you to not be healthy? So we have to ask yourself, or you need to ask yourself, is stress affecting you? Do you suffer with headaches, fatigue, neck pain, mid back pain, low back pain, just aches and pains all over? Do you have problems sleeping at night? Do you wake up frequently through the night and wake up not feeling refreshed? Do you have digestive troubles, diarrhea, constipation, not having a bowel movement every single day? Do you have irritability and mood swings? Do you have chronic sinus or allergy problems? If you've answered yes to any one of these 7 factors, then stress could be a major player robbing you of your health. Are toxins affecting you? Are you tired all the time? Again, is your sleep disturbed? Do you have intestinal distress, gas and bloating with meals? Do you feel kind of a constant ache or gnawing pain in your abdomen all the time? Do you suffer with headaches? Do you have allergies? Are you confused with a mental cognitive decline? Are you anxious all the time? Well, according to the Journal of Clinical Chemistry 1996, these are the main symptoms of toxin exposure. Now, we use a questionnaire in our office called the Medical Symptoms Questionnaire. If your score is greater than 50, or if it's greater than 10 in any one area, guess what? Toxins are probably a big player of something robbing you of your health. Is malnutrition affecting you? Do you have altered body composition? Are you on acid blockers or antacids? Do you have an increased BMI? Do you have a diet that's high in sugar and processed foods? Do you have regular use of blood pressure medications, statin drugs, birth control pills, pain relievers, including the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like Aleve and Motrin? Do you have cravings? These are all signs and symptoms of possibly malnutrition robbing you of your health. So, where do you start in this seemingly complex field of biochemistry and human physiology? Where do you start? And the good news is, biochemistry can be infinitely complex, but good nutrition isn't. And human physiology is infinitely complex. We don't understand everything, all the ins and outs of the human body. But for you to regain your health, for you to cleanse, nourish, and balance, it's not that hard to do. And you can start with the Magnificent Seven lifestyle. Eat right, drink right, move right, sleep right, talk right, think right, and poop right. Ask yourself right now, which of these 7 areas, which of these 7 factors of the Magnificent Seven lifestyle are you falling short in? Where can you start today? Where can you start right now improving your health in which of these categories? You can start taking the foundational 5, which consists of a multiple vitamin and mineral, fish oil, plant-based nutrients, vitamin D, and probiotics, for less than the cost of a Starbucks drink. For less than the cost of a value meal at McDonald's, you can protect yourself and you can provide your body with the foundational nutritional support you need to restore and regain health. It's your choice. Health is a matter of choice, not a mystery of chance. Aristotle said that, and I love that quote. And you will pay and make time for health, or you will pay and make time for battling disease. And I want to make sure that I'm paying and making time for optimal health. Now, I want to just share with you some of the differences at Life Enhancement Clinic. What sets us apart from other practitioners you may or may not see? We offer a complete evaluation of your current situation. And that is important. And how do we do that? First of all, we start with a comprehensive history. We take time to listen to you. Then we proceed with a comprehensive physical examination, where we provide you with a nutritional examination, a comprehensive neurologic examination, an orthopedic examination, an applied kinesiological exam, and body composition testing. We offer comprehensive blood chemistry analysis where we test and don't guess. Our Restore profile that we have put together evaluates over 40 different lab markers to identify your current health status and your disease risk. And we provide you with a color report that shows you exactly where you fall at in the range of optimal values. We offer you nutritional and health assessments with metabolic assessments, stress identity subtypes, bowel transit time testing, stomach acid challenge testing, urine and saliva pH tracking to measure your acid-alkaline balance, and medical symptoms questionnaire with xenobiotic exposure. We offer you functional medicine labs for these that are more complicated cases and need to dig deeper into what's going on with you. We can measure your salivary hormones with adrenal stress index. We can measure your omega-6 to 3 ratio with a fatty acid profile. We can look for good bacteria, candida infections, fungal infections, and parasites with a stool analysis. We can look for testosterone deficiencies, estrogen being excess, progesterone deficiencies with a hormone profile. We can look for leaky gut, an inflamed gut with an intestinal permeability testing. We can identify your acid alkaline balance and what your soil type, if you're back to the plant analogy, is with the functional bioterrain integra testing, where you look at what's going on in your body. What environment are your cells being bathed in? Of your 100 trillion cells, are they being bathed in messages of inflammation and disease? Or is your bioterrain, is your soil and your water and your body, so to speak, speaking good messages to your cells? We can look at a hair analysis to identify micronutrient deficiencies or heavy metal exposure, or we can check you for heavy metals. So we have the option to be very comprehensive in our diagnostic approach. We offer you a full array of chiropractic neurology services. We provide you with specific chiropractic adjustments using a safe and gentle activator adjusting, diversified manual adjusting, pelvic blocking, or the drop technique. We can give you brain-based exercises to balance out your brain. To stop the pain, you've got to balance the brain, and we can do that through activation of joint receptors, working on your muscle spindles that are abnormal, providing you with eye exercises and eye light therapy, doing exercises that will provide certain sounds for particular areas of the brain, as well as working on your proprioception, inner ear, and vestibular systems. We can provide you with spinal rehab, neuromuscular education, low-level laser therapy, kinesiotaping, and neurolymphatic assessment and balancing. All of these things make the Life Enhancement Clinic set apart and provide you with the best opportunity to cleanse, nourish, balance, and restore your health. So let the Life Enhancement Clinic be a part of your wellness team. We encourage you to visit our website at www.leclinic.com. Call our office to schedule an appointment at 701-323-0266, or feel free to email me directly with any questions you may have at drsefcik@leclinic.com. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to have these thieves robbing you of your health. And today you can start to restore your health. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I hope you enjoyed this brief presentation, and I hope it benefits you. Yours in health, Dr. Charles Sefcik.